Firstly, arts-based learning promotes creativity. Students develop and express their own ideas in original and creative ways by utilising the arts. As told by Kaufman and Beghetto, who we studied in the first week, art fosters the growth of creativity at all levels, from the spark of an idea to the production of significant and influential works. I enjoyed reading about my colleagues' various viewpoints on their distinct levels of creativity in this course. While I was aware of some of my peers' connection to the arts, I was unaware of most. Reading about their various recollections and experiences was fascinating. For instance, one person made a weekly podcast, another performed in the theatre, a person recalled their parents framing a photo of their childhood artwork, and a person played the piano. I've always considered myself to be artistic. Growing up, my uncle was an artist. Both my parents were art collectors in a way. Throughout my childhood, I participated in ballet, Irish dancing, piano, and constant singing and dancing with my sisters. We even made our brother the fifth Spice Girl. He was Sporty Spice. Regretfully, even though I have a deep affinity and love of the arts, I never came to believe that I could pursue a career in the arts as an adult. My goal as a teacher is to instill in my children a passion of creativity and the belief that they are capable of anything, even an arts-based career. Students' critical thinking abilities are naturally developed when they engage with the arts, which calls on them to examine, interpret, and evaluate information. Bloomfield and Childs emphasise how the arts help children in ways that go beyond conventional classroom settings, pushing them to think critically and draw connections across different subject areas. Again, staying in the first week of learning, Maxine Greene was of great interest to me. The quote about imagination particularly resonated, which read, "Among all our cognitive capacities, imagination is the one that allows us to give credence to alternative realities, which is one of the reasons I have come to focus on imagination as a means through which we can assemble a coherent world." This made me think of one particular moment from when I was in Year 2. We were instructed to close our eyes and visualize a beach. I closed my eyes and saw nothing but darkness. I raised my hand, stated I couldn't see a beach, and was dismissed. I repeated the statement, saying I could only see darkness, which was black, and was sent out of the classroom. To be honest, since this happened and for the majority of my life, I thought I was too literal to have an imagination. I thought I simply didn't have one. It was only in the last year that I learnt that some people do only see black and can't visualize colour. But I read that some people can train themselves to have an imagination. I have been actively trying to do this and practice through repetition with my daughter in the evening. She is 2, and before she goes to bed, we imagine a beach, being underwater in the ocean, and becoming mermaids before she drifts off to sleep. I think repetition is so important in teaching, and I don't think children should be dismissed if they open up about what they see through their mind's eye. I want to teach children that they can develop an imagination and that they do have one, even if when they close their eyes they only see black. Through arts-based pedagogy, students can explore complicated emotions and experiences in a safe and expressive environment. This supports social emotional learning and self-awareness. According to Power, arts-based learning is crucial for giving children a platform to connect with their emotions and grow empathy for others. In Assessment 2, I chose to focus on histories, family, and creative and critical thinking through an arts-based pedagogy. I chose this as I still vividly remember an arts project from my primary school days where I documented my house and captured stills of each room, my dog at the time, the backyard and studio. The memory of this project is why I incorporated media arts throughout my lesson plans and asked the children to gather photos from home in the first lesson for the end of the week. I wanted the children to actively think and document their home and feel safe in talking about their home life. I understand some children may come from complicated backgrounds with trauma, but so did I. I think it's important for children to see the sun through the rain and that they can still capture beautiful and joyous parts of their home, even if it is a volatile environment. I think arts-based pedagogy and teaching plays a critical role in enabling children to think positively about their life and their environment. Arts-based pedagogy is an effective means of promoting cross-cultural understanding, appreciating cultural diversity. Students get a greater understanding of the diverse range of artistic expressions and cultural practices, which contribute to the richness of the human experience. We learnt about the 8 competencies for cultural responsive teaching during this unit, which I resonated deeply with. My sense of social justice is strong. I am of Irish and Lebanese descent. I'm of Irish and Lebanese heritage. Since my father's family immigrated to Australia in the early 1900s under the White Australia policy, we lost a great deal of our Lebanese history, including the language, and we don't even know what part of Lebanon we are from. My grandfather's parents only spoke Arabic when they were fighting and swearing at each other. We do still know how to cook the food. However, in my family, that's the man's job and not the woman's. I actually didn't realise men didn't stay at home and look after the children, do the housework, cook and clean until I left home. We lived in a very feminist household where it was completely normal that my mother worked and my father was the carer. My mother is from Derry, Northern Ireland, Irish Catholic, and grew up during the Troubles. She instilled in us that everyone should be treated equal regardless of race, class, social status or looks. This is a core part of my being. I went to school in regional New South Wales where the girls were white, blue or brown-eyed with blonde or brown hair. There were only a handful of Indigenous students in both primary and high school. While my older siblings were white, brown-haired and blue-eyed, I had dark feature and green eyes. I'm joking. Sorry. I had dark features and green eyes, and my sister looked even more Aboriginal than I did. This made me acutely aware of racial dynamics from a young age. I want to teach children to know their heritage and be proud of it. I wasn't exactly growing up. I swapped my food for peanut butter sandwiches and did all that stereotypical nonsense. I think I do approach life with an anti-racist lens. I moved to Kakadu National Park in my 20s, and at the time it was run by a racist general manager. Regardless, I made friends with the locals, including Uncle Jeff, who was actually responsible for the World Heritage listing of Kakadu National Park. When I left, he and his partner brought me and my sister handmade gifts. We were the only ones they ever did that for. And when I went back just a couple of years ago, he came to Yellowwater for the first time in months because he just thought he'd see me that day. His kindness and connection to the land have had a lasting impact on me. I believe subconscious racism permeates throughout our society. This is evident through systematic issues with the youth justice system and the many and varied policies put in place to lock up and restrict the rights of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. Last year, I believe it was a national disgrace that The Voice failed. I want to teach through an anti-racism pedagogy to help educate the next generation that they can and must change the way things are. This starts at home, but it also starts and is critical in education. As I reflect on this unit, I often think back to my main memories from school, which were arts-based learning moments. I think it's a beautiful and integral way to approach teaching and caters for many different types of learning. I don't want to put students in boxes. I want to allow them to celebrate learning and who they are, and I think this is perfectly achieved using the arts. I also reflected on my practical experiences of teaching this year and how I incorporated arts-based pedagogies within my lessons. In my last prac, I had to teach 5 math lessons. My topic was location and transformation for a Year 5 classroom. I decided to localise the subject matter as I was teaching in a regional school where the students were quite disengaged with the content. I was staying at a hotel that had maps of the local area, the Otways. I grabbed them to split between 2 and taught them grid references by getting them to find local places from their region. The first lesson was so engaging, Even the disengaged kids asked for their own copies of the map, so I ended up getting enough so they could each have one. We moved on to them plotting points on a blank grid reference and then drawing the outline of a treasure island, first using pencil and then colours. Each was unique and the children loved the series of lessons. The second half of this year has been difficult for me personally. I was unable to attend class even though I would have loved to. This subject is very special to me and I will utilise the content in my teaching. Thank you.